Priyanshu Manati from class 8A. Today I am going to speak why most of the seas are getting lost. Our topic for the third quarterly geography magazine Meridian is the lost seas. Today I am going to speak about two seas, Aral Sea and Dead Sea. Global warming combined with the negative impacts of numerous other human activities is devastating our oceans, with declines in fish stocks, the death of the reefs, and sea level rise that could displace hundreds of millions of people. The Dead Sea is a salt lake bordered by Jordan to the east and Israel and the West Bank to the west. The Aral Sea lies between Kyrgyzstan in the north and Uzbekistan in the south. The Dead Sea is called dead because its high salinity prevents microscopic aquatic organisms from living it. Though quantities of bacteria and microbial fungi are present, in times of flood, the salt content of the Dead Sea can drop from 35% to 30%. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Adrija Das from class 8A. Today, I would like to take the opportunity to tell you something about the Dead Sea. Its location. Dead Sea is a landlocked salt lake between Israel and Jordan in the southwest Asia. Its eastern shore belongs to the Jordan and the southern half of the western shore belongs to Israel. The northern half of its western shore, which lies within the Palestinian West Bank. Now we come to a question. Why is Dead Sea so salty? NOAA estimates that the water in the Dead Sea is 5 times as dirty as seawater. Salinity increases in the sea's deeper waters as depth below the 300 feet, the water becomes so concentrated that it can hold no more and the salt builds up in the sea floor. One source of fresh water feeds the Dead Sea, the Jordan River. But without any other outlets, when fresh water reaches the sea, it has nowhere else to go. In the arid low-lying desert, the water that collects in the Dead Sea, it evaporates more quickly than water in the open ocean, leaving vast quantities of salt behind, the MDSRC explains. Now we come to another question. Why we can't sink in the Dead Sea? We can't sink in the Dead Sea because of the high density of the salty water, as it contains high concentration of salt, which is higher in density than the density of a human body. Thus, we can't sink in the Dead Sea. Now we come to some interesting facts. Number 1. The deeper in the Dead Sea, the salinity increases. The Dead Sea has a salinity of 33.7%. It is 10 times saltier than an ordinary seawater. In the whole Dead Sea, there are about 37 billion tons of salts. In the lake's surface, in 330.5 meters below the sea level, making its shores the lowest land elevation on Earth. Thank you.
The Aral Sea was an endorheic lake lying between Kazakhstan in the north and Uzbekistan in the south, which began shrinking in the 1960s and had largely dried by 2010. The name roughly translates as Seas of Islands, referring to over 1,100 islands that dotted its water. The main cause of drying up of the Aral Sea is due to the damage to its ecosystem as a result of testing different weapons and fertilizer runoffs. The cause of shrinking of the Aral Sea is due to the diversion of its sources of inflowing water, the riverine waters of Sirdarya in the north and the Amu Darya in the south, which historically discharged into the Aral Sea.
Hi, my name is Mousri Kundu and I'm from class 8 section A. Why is Aral Sea a problem? Who is responsible for Aral Sea disaster? Soviet government by Nikita Khrushchev in the 1950s is directly responsible for Aral Sea disaster. How? By establishing a program to promote agriculture and especially that of cotton, deliberately deprived the Aral Sea of its two main sources of water income, which almost immediately led to less water arriving to the sea. Aral Sea area greatly suffered over irrigation and water mismanagement. The change in the water in the Aral Sea basin reduced the number of most of the fauna. Environment impacts resulting from the changes in the Aral Sea region that could affect human health, like salinization of the water, pesticides in the environment, food change, and dust.
Hello everyone, I am Kaushiki Sarkar of class 9, section A. Today I am going to say about the topic how human affect the Aral Sea and some health problems created during Aral Sea crisis. The Aral Sea is being affected by the human activities such as water withdrawal for agriculture industry, which changed the water quality of the Aral Sea and reduced the number of fishes in river and in sea. It also destroyed most of the fauna. For the above causes, the water level in the Aral Sea started drastically decreasing from 1960 onwards, and it causes Aral Sea crisis. For the Aral Sea crisis, many health problems have been arrived. Some of those are liver cancer, anemia, nutritional deficiency, upper respiratory tract infection, birth defect, endocrine disruption, and many more like this. With this, we come to the end of our topic. Thank you.
How the Aral Sea is being realistically rehabilitated. The USAID Regional Water and Vulnerable Environment Activity, which began to assess and develop an action plan to restore a portion of the Aral Sea, made an initial trip to the region to assess soil samples, examined possible pilot sites, and assessed partnership options with local organizations. USAID's assessment aimed towards identifying innovative approaches for afforestation of the drained bottom of the Aral Sea in Kazakhstan. The approaches have considered the best ways to ensure sustainability of results and options for scaling up and replicating those efforts by local communities, governments of the region, and other donors. The basin countries Afghanistan, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, being situated near to the Aral Sea, are affected the most by the changes in its ecosystem. Amongst these countries, Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan are the worst affected owing to their close proximity to the Aral Sea.
Hello everyone, this is Shiladitya Bose from class 9C.
What is being done to help the Aral Sea? In the early years of this century, Kazakhstan made a bold decision. They decided to split the Aral Sea and save the bit of it they could control. They built an 8-meter-long dam to separate the northern pocket of the sea into an independent lake with extensive improvements along the Sirdarya to improve its flow. How long it will take to refill the Aral Sea? The Aral Sea as a whole will never completely refill. However, the northern Aral Sea increased its level by 4 meters in 6 months, increasing its size in 1/3 in 1 year. By the late 16th century, the Aral Sea started to refill itself but not completed to refill even today.
Hello everybody, I am Adrija Pal of class 9A and today I am here to share my analysis on how we can save the Aral Sea from disappearing completely, and I would also share the drastic effects of Dead Sea that it had on our environment. As we know, due to humankind's destructive measures, the Aral Sea is reduced to 10th of its size. So some of the international institutions, along with the government of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, took a bold decision of constructing an 8-mile-long dam to separate the northern pocket of the Aral Sea into an independent lake with extensive improvements along the Sirdarya River to improve its flow to save the bit of the part of the Aral Sea that they could control. Now coming on to how the Dead Sea has been affecting the environment. The water level of the Dead Sea drops by more than 1 meter per year. Besides the lake level decline, there are environmental risks such as desertification, pollution of drinking water by brine, flash floods, sinkholes, and earthquakes, testifying to an environmental catastrophe. As these fresh water is diffusing, more than 1,000 sinkholes have appeared in the past 15 years, which results in the swallowing of the portion of road, date farm fields, and several buildings on the sea's northwest coast. Thank you.
Friends, do you know Dead Sea is a salt lake bordered by Jordan to the east and Israel and the West Bank to the west in Southwest Asia. It lies in the Jordan Rift Valley and its main tributary is the Jordan River. The Dead Sea salt content is derived from rocks on the land that are eroded by rainwater. These acids slowly break the rocks down over time, creating charged particles called ions that eventually find their way to the Dead Sea, oceans, and other saltwater bodies through runoff. Friends, are you thinking that can we swim or can we sink in the Dead Sea? I am answering to this question. You will notice the buoyancy as soon as you get into the water. You only have to be a foot or so deep and you can sit down, lean back and float. So it is actually impossible to swim or sink in Dead Sea. Another interesting fact is that, aside for some microorganisms and algae, this saltwater sea is completely devoid of life. Now, some of the top-rated tourist attractions in Israel's Dead Sea region are Qumran, Kalia Beach, Wadi David, Ein Kedem Hot Springs, Mount Sodom, and so on.
Hello everyone, this is me Tia Shen from class 8A. Today I will talk about the global steps for stop the dying of seas. Pollution has not only brought changes in the land surface but also in the aquatic life. The seas have not been spared. The water bodies including the seas and oceans are polluted so much that the marine life is at stake. Experts say that by 2050 there would be more of plastic than fish. 90% of the coral reefs may be dead, so we have to think for steps which can stop the dying of seas. Number 1, conserve water. Use less water so excess runoff and wastewater will not flow into the ocean. Number 2, reduce pollution. We should use non-toxic chemicals and dispose pesticides. It will definitely reduce pollution. Number 3, reduce waste. We should reduce waste as much as it is possible in proper place. Seas are the source of marine life. If we not restore the seas quickly, then the marine life will become extinct. So we have to work hard in restoring the seas from dying. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Shourojit Shah from 8C. Today I will discuss some questions. Why Aral Sea is so important? Aral Sea is important because it helps in irrigation of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, because it is located between these two countries. As 70% of Aral Sea has been dried up, so a large number of salt has taken over that place. Why Aral Sea and Dead Sea is a major place of tourist attraction? Aral Sea has many historical and abundant ships and also number of dead sea creatures which are taken place on the dried regions of Aral Sea. So that's why Aral Sea is a major tourist attraction. Dead Sea has also a large amount of salinity which makes us float, and also we can't sink into the bottom. So it is also a major tourist attraction. Thank you.
Firstly, we want to thank the Almighty for giving us the sense to understand this beautiful world. We want to thank our Managing Trustee, Mrs. S.E. Broughton, our Chairman Sir, Mr. J.G. Broughton, for their continuous support. Special thanks to Mr. Bobby Baxter for continuously encouraging us. We want to thank our Vice Principal, Mr. Shayantan Mukherjee, our Teacher in Charge, Mr. Lyle Jennings, our Junior School Coordinator, Mrs. Cheryl Ann Day, for continuing their support. We want to thank each and every student who took part in this magazine and those who are watching the video. Special thanks to the teachers and the parents who continuously supported us and helped us. Please like, share and subscribe the channel.